Hi, thanks for joining me today for a hand and foot yin practice. So this is going to be a really nice, juicy practice for the hands and the feet. It's going to be really, really important that we move slowly in this practice. So the hands and feet are incredibly delicate joints in the body, but they're also incredibly strong. The hands and feet do so much work for us all day long, every single day. So it is important to give them attention, to trust that they can do the work, but to be mindful and gentle in how we explore the strength of the hands and the feet. So we're going to be putting some load on the hands and feet today in a yin practice. So that means that we will be opening up the hands and feet, the joints, the connective tissue, and holding those opening postures for extended periods of time, usually 1 to 3 minutes for this practice, okay? If at any time the hands and feet start talking to you, I invite you to come out of the posture. This practice is for you, but it's also your responsibility to take care of your own precious body. Make sure that you have no underlying health conditions or injuries that will prevent you from following along with the practice today. And if at any time the body says no, listen to it. Okay, so we'll begin by arriving on our mat. So just lie down or find a comfortable seated posture in whatever way is best for you. Okay, I will back up. I forgot to mention props today. So if you're watching at a later time, you can pause the video or you can run and grab these now. 2 foam or wooden blocks and or books about the same height. And you want the books to be maybe 1 inch to 3 inches high, okay? So it's not a huge deal what height they are, but something that is in between that range. So 2 books or 2 blocks about the same height. A bolster is a really nice idea as well. You may or may not need it. A folded up quilt comforter or pillow will also work. And then lastly, a blanket to sit on and to help pad in some of our postures. And then I just like to practice my whole yin practice on another nice soft blanket. So feel free to go grab those quickly now or pause the video and then come back. So again, lying down or seated, we'll just start to arrive. If it's comfortable for you, close the eyes. If that doesn't work, just lower your gaze. Maybe today's not a day to close the eyes, or lower the gaze down toward your heart. So whatever's best for you. And then we're just going to start to draw the attention inward. Okay, so all that we mean is to pay attention to the breath and any sensations in the body, paying attention to what is being held by the floor beneath you. Just notice how the body is feeling in this moment as you take a deep breath in through the nose. If the nose is stuffed, breathe it in and out through the mouth. And then if possible, a loud exhale through the mouth. And just do a few more of those. Long, full inhale. And long, letting go exhale. Wonderful. And then from here, just let the breath be natural. Let the breath be natural. Really start to just notice the depth of each breath in and each breath out. Letting the breath be free, but just taking the time to notice the quality of the breath. Notice the quality of the mind. Perhaps it's elsewhere today, and breath by breath, we just notice that, and breath by breath, we remind ourselves to come back into the body, into the now. Long, full, deep inhales. Each breath in and each breath out, you arrive. You land on the mat in the space you're in. Drawing the mind back into the body and down into the heart. If you are lying down, I will invite you to make your way up to a seat and just make yourself comfortable. You may want to place a blanket underneath your seat just to tilt the pelvis forward slightly. You may want to have your blocks or books nearby. We're just going to continue our centering for a moment by connecting really intentionally with the hands and feet. Bringing the feet into Baddha Konasana or bound angle. So the soles of the feet are together and the knees start to come apart. Now that might be far too much of an opening for your legs today, for your hips. Feel free to prop up with any and everything that you have available to whatever height you need to bring the floor up to you. You can be creative with your blocks, okay? Tilting your blocks off to the side or trying out different heights that your blocks or books offer you. Okay, so you decide. And then the feet extend out as far as you need them, but draw in as close as they're able to. And then we're going to take the hands and just begin to sweep the awareness down the legs and into the feet. And reach for as close as you can to hold on to the feet. So maybe that's the shins today, maybe it's the ankles. But if you can reach down all the way to the feet, feel free to take the hands and just gently place them on the feet. So the feet are connected and the hands and feet are connected here. Okay, there is a slight forward fold happening, most likely in the body, if you are reaching and touching the feet, and that's fine. So make sure that you're not uncomfortable. Really here, the spine can be in any shape you want it to be. You can be in a little bit more of a heart opening with the shoulder blades drawing together if you like, or if it's better for you right now, you can be rounding your back, dropping your chin. Maybe you want to just find some time to move back and forth between the two here, taking some gentle cat-cows. So find stillness. You're in a gentle back bend, a gentle forward fold, a neutral spine, or cat-cows. So just be honoring your body and where it is. But I want to draw your attention back down into the hands and feet. And here we're going to continue our centering by reconnecting with the breath and really keeping our attention in the hands and feet. So just taking the time to draw the breath and the awareness down into the hands and feet and feel the connection between the hands and feet. Start to just become really present with them. Starting to notice and ask how the hands and feet are feeling. And if you feel any sensation, that is the body talking to you. And we don't necessarily need to analyze every sensation that we feel. but we can become aware and start to notice and start to pay attention to how sensation feels as it moves in the body. So just breath by breath, connecting with the hands and the feet here. I'm going to leave you for 1 minute here in silence, just to connect with the hands and feet in a centering breath. The breath is soft and free. Take 3 more full inhales and exhales here. Really noticing and paying attention to any sensation you're feeling in the hands and feet. After your third breath out, begin to release the hands and feet. Gently bring the hands to the outside of the knees and bring the knees together. Place your props off to the side for a moment. I'm going to turn so you can see me a little bit better. And then just extend the legs out in front of you. Okay? And just begin to tap into the back of the legs and shake out through the arms. Great. You may, at this point, want to prop something underneath the knees. So this could be your bolster. Okay? You may also not need anything underneath the knees. Take a moment to walk the seat out so that you have a really nice solid foundation under you. If you feel like you're falling backwards, take a blanket and place it underneath the seat. A foam block, a short foam block can work well too. Okay, good. And you may not need or want that bolster under the knees, but it is an option for a little bit of extra support. We're going to start with some rotation in the hands and feet. So just begin to make big circles with the ankles and big circles with the wrists. And creaks and cracks are okay and good, but again, moving slow enough that we really honor our own range of motion. And if you haven't moved your hands and feet in all of your range of motion in a while, it can feel like there is some resistance. We shouldn't be feeling any pain. So if we move into pain, we're going to back right off. Great. And then we will tighten everything. So imagine that you're making fists with your feet, curling your toes under. And if at any time you get a cramp, just release, shake it out, give yourself a stretch. Drink more water, take some magnesium. Tighten the feet, nice and tight. Tighten the hands. Tighten, 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 tighten. Good, and then release. Soften everything. This time when we tighten, let's see if we can focus on keeping the rest of the body strong but relaxed. So not tightening the entire body, but just more tightening just through the hands and feet. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Right, and relax. Wonderful. We're going to do some flexion, extension, and rotation in the hands and feet. And we're going to hold each one for about a minute, okay? Again, if at any time you need to adjust, shift, you start to notice pain or tension moving into the back, just come right out. You can do this with the legs straight, or you can bend the knees. You can also still have that bolster underneath the knees, so whatever is best for you. Okay. The first practice that we're going to do is a flexion of the fingers and of the toes. So start in neutral. Draw the hands down beside the hips so that the palms and fingers and thumbs all reach the floor. And if they don't quite reach the floor, we can take some blocks and place blocks beside the body, and the elbows can bend slightly. But try to keep the elbows tucked closer in the body if you're doing this option. Okay, so either your hands are flat, fingers are spread, thumbs are spread on the block, or the hands are resting on the floor. Okay, and then the feet are just nice and neutral. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to begin to point the toes forward. Okay, and begin to lift only the palms of the hands. So the fingers and thumbs remain on the floor. And just notice, do the thumbs want to start to lift? Do the fingers want to start to lift? Do the elbows start to pop out to the side? Keep the elbows tucked in. As you lift, the arms will bend slightly. But just the palms lift off the ground. And then check in with the feet while you're here as well. Are the legs starting to internally rotate or externally rotate? See if you can keep the shins parallel to the ceiling. And again, find your breath. Remembering, if at any time you feel cramping, just come out of the posture and shake it out and give yourself a break. Cramping can happen if we're not used to moving our body in certain ranges, or if our muscles need a little bit more nourishment, or perhaps we're just feeling really tight and it's the body's response of trying to protect us. So if you feel cramping, just begin to come out. And then you really control the load on your fingers. So the more you press down into the ground, the more load you're going to have on your joints. And load in the joints is good. It can help to strengthen the joints and encourage nourishment into the joints. But you need to really be careful about how far you go. So really in this posture, you really don't need much load at all. Okay, so that means that you don't push down onto the floor as hard. We're going to gently begin to release this. Okay, shake it out. Shake out the hands and feet. Good. And then bring the hands down again beside you and just press those palms into the floor. Okay. Take a breath in, and on a breath out, start to press the heels away from you and the toes toward you. Again, ensuring that the shins remain parallel to the ceiling. That's the intention, that the legs aren't rolling open and the legs aren't rolling closed. But you move the way that your body is letting you know is safe for you. And then here with the fingers aren't going to move that much in this posture. I'm going to start to press more firmly through the palm and just begin to lift the fingers and the thumb off the floor. Okay, so the toes are pointed toward you, the heels are pressing away from you, the palms are pressing down into the floor, or you're still using your block. right? And that's also just perfect. And the fingers and thumbs are gently lifting off the floor. And just reconnect with the breath. Notice and make sure that you're not bringing the tension into different parts of the body. Instead, using the exhale to help direct tension out of the hands and feet. So this is really just like a mindful way to breathe, a mindful way to connect with tension and invite it to release. You should be really, really nice opening in the fingers. So some of these postures are going to be a little bit more active yin postures today. Some of them are going to be a little bit more passive. Remember, you're controlling completely your practice. Start to release. Again, shake it out. A little bit of tingling is maybe normal. If it lasts, sustains, or turns into numbness, that's your body's cue also that you've gone too far. Shake it out. Right. This time we're going to do an external rotation. Okay, so now we want the ankles to externally rotate, not the legs. Okay, so again, this movement might be very, very subtle. If you are starting to feel any tension in that low back, find a bend in the knees and or place something underneath your knees if you don't already have it there. Okay. Good. So for this posture, again, wrists are somewhat under the shoulders. And we're going to begin to turn the fingers out. Okay, so the fingers are now pointing away from the body. And then trying to keep the legs as parallel to the ceiling, the front of the legs as parallel to the ceiling as possible. We're going to begin to explore letting those feet open up to the side. And your legs are naturally going to want to turn from the hips. So just take a moment to maybe widen the legs if you feel like your stability is being, if your body's questioning your stability. Widen the legs a bit. And then just see if you can isolate that movement to the feet. Okay, so heels press away from you, toes press toward you. So the feet are active and engaged. The knees start to roll open, draw the knees back. The movement doesn't even have to be that big. The hands are pressing down into the floor, fingers are spread, thumbs are spread. If the feet start to cramp, just release them. Okay, let them be soft, but see if you can maintain an external rotation. Again, find your breath. Notice the spine, what's happening in the rest of the body. Use the breath to move the tension. If it feels good at this point, you can begin to walk the fingers of the hands all the way back. Okay. If the wrists are happy to move in that way today. Notice what's happening in the legs. Find your breath. So change in the connective tissue and joints happens over a period of time in our yin posture. So this is why we slow down. We allow the body time to open. We use the breath to help move us there. Good. Slowly walking the hands back out. And as always in your yin practice, if you want to stay longer in any posture, stay longer, pause the video, come back to the postures that felt really good and try them again. This time we're going to practice a little bit of internal rotation. So shake the hands and feet out if you need. And then the hands come back beside us. And then we're going to start to turn the fingers inward, okay? Again, reminder, you can still have a block or book under your hands. Fingers turn inward, and what will naturally happen is that the heels of the hands will lift, and that's cool. But see if you cannot force at all, but gently encourage and invite the palms to move toward the floor, and they may be a far way away from the floor today, and that's just fine. It's just the intention. So drawing the palms down toward the floor. So start there with the arms, and then again an internal rotation with the ankles. And all we're really doing here is exploring our range of motion in the ankles. So begin to draw the toes toward each other, okay? Again, seeing if you can keep the shins parallel to the ceiling. And you can take one foot and just gently rest it on top of the other toes of the other foot. Again, come back to the breath. Pay attention if tension is creeping up in other parts of the body. Use the breath. Try and keep your attention and softness in the hands and feet. If you have the toes of one foot resting on the toes of the other, just take a moment to switch that. And you may not feel a very big opening in the feet, but we are allowing opening in the connective tissue in the feet just by internally rotating them. If the hands are feeling pretty good, because this can be pretty intense, you can explore walking those fingers back, but through the internal rotation this time, okay? And this may or may not